can't remember which philosopher you quoted, but the definition of therapy being like coming to terms with the unhappiness of the everyday.
Yes.
And I think that directly ties into that concept.
It does, absolutely, 100%. And this actually brings it to the universal dimension of the incarnation, because you know the way I mentioned that in an incarnation there's what you could call, we'll use the term singular, particular, universal. So a singular event happens, the sinking of a ship, right? Sinking of a ship, that's a singular, it just happens, it's a contingent event. But then it has particular meaning for the generation, right? The end of European civilization, the beginning of war, etc. But then it has a universal dimension, which is something that continues to speak beyond its particular
utility,
moment.
like you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Some deeper meaning, which could be the futility of life, and that nothing works. Even our biggest ships, we have to still confront death. You still have to hit the iceberg, right? The end of the world is coming for everybody, right? So in the same way, you could say that there's something about the particular in Christ, which is basically addressing the political situation of the day. But then there's also a universal dimension, and what's that? And I think this is captured in a good joke from Northern Ireland, right? In Northern Ireland, we had a 30-year war called the Troubles. I don't know if you know much about it, but it finished in 1998. And one of the techniques that the IRA used to use is they used to plant incendiary devices in buildings, and then they would phone up the police and say, like, you got 5 minutes to get everybody out, or 10 minutes to get everybody out, right? This happened all the time. And there was this joke going around school at the time that this guy who was in the IRA, this guy called Seamus, right? He dies and he goes up to heaven. And he's sitting at the pearly gates and he's waiting to get in. And eventually St. Peter comes with a big book, sets the book down, opens it up, big dusty old book, And he's in, looking at this book for about half an hour, goes through it, and he looks up at Seamus and says, listen, mate, he says, your name's not in the book. You're in the IRA, you're not getting in. And Seamus looks at him and says, no, you misunderstand. He says, I'm not trying to get in. You got 5 minutes to get out. Right? Now, I love that little story because I think that's the heart of Christmas, is that we're all trying to escape our humanity. We're all trying to escape our lack. We're all trying to get into heaven, wherever that is, money, fame, family, whatever it is. We want to escape the antagonisms of our lives. We want to get into that heavenly place of pure peace. But the story of Christmas is the story of actually getting the absolute out of heaven into the grit and grime of the world, that actually where meaning is found is in the dirt of life. It's a beautiful image of going, like, if you want to become like God, you have to become human, fully human. Because we all want to become like God. We all want to escape our humanity. That's what Caesar was about. But this story goes, oh yeah, you want to become like the absolute? Well, then embrace your full humanity. And in that embrace, you will be standing in the very sight of the divine.
Sure, because maybe there is no pinnacle of human experience.
Yeah.
Maybe the pinnacle of human experience is accepting the misery that you're in every day.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Which isn't really sad,
Yeah.
It's not. If you can accept it instead of seeking, like you're talking about, to fill this emptiness that may forever be empty if we're constantly searching to fill it.
Because that's the good news of the world, which is bad news. The good news of the world is you can fill that, you can get to the place where everything is perfect and beautiful. But that's bad news, because the more you believe that, the more dissatisfied and anxious you are. Yeah. So the bad news that you can't be whole and you can't be complete and you have to embrace the difficulties of life, that's actually good news, because when you do it, you realize that actually that's where the enjoyment of life is. This is actually this is beautifully captured in the difference between the pleasure principle and the reality principle. So the pleasure principle is this idea that we seek pleasure. Like, I want to climb all the trees I can. I want to eat all the chocolate I can. I want to win all the games that I play. That's the pleasure principle. And then the reality principle is, you can't eat all the chocolate you want because your mum won't let you. You can't climb all the trees you want because your body won't let you. You can't win all the games you want because your friends won't let you. So reality principle gets in the way of pleasure. But what Freud realized very early on was that actually it's the reality principle that gives you the pleasure principle. If you got rid of all of the obstacles and you were able to climb Mount Everest immediately, you were able to get $1 billion without thinking, you were able to get everything you want without obstacle, you wouldn't be left with happiness. It would be actually hell. Heaven would be hell.